Today, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Prize your girlfriend and show her how hairless your dick could be. I know what that is. I know what that is. Presentation matters. Shave your balls and your crack while you're at it. I've been using this so long. It's only about right that we went back into business with Manscaped again. Meet the new face, among other parts, of Manscaped. Welcome back to the Top 6 show, of course, sponsored by our friends at Manscaped. You can have the cleanest dolphin's beak in the world, 20% discount, promo code TFT20, links in the description below. Brilliant panel tonight. Jessica Black is with us. George is here repping the brilliant Tottenham. We've got man like Canadian Cam back with us repping Man United. Long time no see on the stream. Making his debut tonight. Roms is here, back in Liverpool, and Daneil will be here. Daniel's always late. Daneil will be late to his own funeral in 50, 60 years' time, because that man is never on time. He's back in Chelsea. He's on later. And we've got a great night. There's lots of transfer stories to speak about. Chelsea hijack for Cucurella. The deal is very close. £50 million for the fullback. Forfana moved closer, with the teams now around £20 million apart on the deal, but with Chelsea ready to bid a higher amount for the Leicester fullback. We're talking Frankie de Jong. Now the Spanish media are repeating what Tier 1 Tap-In Terry has been telling you for the past 4 to 5 weeks. It's all to do with the deferred wages. De Jong is leaving, he's coming. Bernardo Silva going the other way, with Manchester City looking at Arsenal target Paqueta as his replacement. And we are talking Arsenal on the show later. Can they challenge this season? They've won pre-season. They look amazing. We've got lots to talk about in the build-up to the return of the biggest, the best, the greatest football league on planet Earth, which is the Premier League. But good evening, everyone. How are you all doing?
Feeling good, man. Happy to be back. Let's go.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, my guys. Good to have you back. It really, really is. And Roms, thanks for making your debut on the terrace tonight, my friend. How are you?
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me. I'm a big fan of the show. I've been watching the show for the longest, so thank you for having me, man.
Not a problem. Don't stand on ceremony, though. Challenge, speak up.
100%.
We had a Liverpool fan come on once, and for the first hour, sat there like this. We thought his camera had frozen.
No, that won't be me. That won't be me.
Man was standing there like he was at Madame Tussauds. It was a madness. Danny Boy is here. How you doing, mate?
Good still. Apologies. I'm so sorry.
In fairness, I don't accept your apology for being late, because we always know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know.
And you'll be late. Do you know what I mean? If I ever have an important engagement to invite you to, I'm putting 2 hours earlier on your invite, like 100%.
Yeah.
There's a phrase for that.
Yes, there is a phrase, but I will not say it. It's not for me to say. It's not for me to say. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones. One of them ones there. Time zones or something like that. I don't really know. One of them. But look, we're not going to talk Chelsea in the show. We're going to talk Arsenal a little bit later. In fact, no, we'll start with Chelsea. I think we should start with Chelsea, actually, because £50 million they are ready to pay for Cucurella. What are we saying?
Does it make sense? I mean, it's a great signing. He's a great player. I think he will improve their team, but they've already got a £50 million left back that they bought from Leicester. Bringing in another one, it would make sense. It just don't make sense to me, really. I can see from the Chelsea side of things, they want to have a strong squad, but having two fullbacks that should be starting, I'm not too sure whether that's good way to spend their money, especially when they got some outlying problems, such as in centre back. They're going for Forfana, and yes, it looks like they got the funds to spend on it, but spending 50 million when they can put that elsewhere towards another centre back, towards a striker, or in a position that they need more, it don't make sense to me.
No, but even with for me, it does make sense, because even Chilwell's injury record, not even just last season, even at Leicester, he's quite injury prone. He doesn't have the best injury record. So, for me, Cucurella is the better left back as well. I think he's more technically sound. I think he's more creative. I actually think he's more defensively sound also as well. So I think maybe 50 million is a bit too much, but I think it's smart business by Chelsea.
I'm confused. I've been sitting here listening all summer of people saying about us going after De Jong and all these players that don't want to play for United. Cucurella wants to go to City. I don't see a world where he ends up anywhere else. Like, I mean, sure, I think they could agree a fee. I think that could happen. But like we've been seeing with all these Chelsea dealings where they come in, truly, I believe once they put the money up and City's like, all right, we might actually lose him, they'll be like, cool, we'll pay it. Because they have it. They're just trying not to pay that much. That's what's happening. They just don't want to pay that much. So the moment somebody else comes in and says, we'll pay that, I think City will come in and be like, well, all right, cool, we'll pay it too. And he's going to go to City. Like, that's where he wants to go. And City has the money and the pulling power. So I think Chelsea's going to get disappointed again if this is true.
I don't know. I feel like Chelsea this will be the one that they get done. You know, out of all the hijacks, this is going to be the one that goes through because Manchester City are not stupid. They're not going to come back in, I don't think. And the only thing I could think of now at this point is that Cucurella has said, like, okay, I'm willing to go to Chelsea. We'll do personal terms and all that, and may wait a little bit longer to see if Manchester City comes in with something else. But I think Manchester City are like, forget it. They're not stupid enough to pay 50 million. I love Cucurella. He's not worth that much. But in terms of Chelsea, like, do they need this player? Yeah, they do. One of their biggest issues last season was the wingbacks and not having the same quality. Like, once you had Alonso and Azpilicueta in there, the levels dropped. And we all know top 6 clubs, that drop off from your number 1 to your number 2, if it's really bad, it can cost you a lot. So I do think they need that. Now, do they have other parts of their squad that need to get addressed? Yeah, the offense is still not probably where it needs to be. They need a midfielder probably, you know, so spending a lot of their money in the back line, I get it, but there's still gaping holes in the squad. But, you know, they got to do what they got to do. They got to get at least one of these hijacks over the line. And I think this might be the one.
Yeah.
Is that Lincoln down there? Is that Lincoln?
Daniel, it's true. We said on stream last night. Actually, I couldn't believe it. Is that Lincoln? Is that Daniel?
You said it on stream, Jess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry,
Anyway, I'm not gonna buy it in it. So that's fine.
Okay, don't buy it.
It's actually great that the panel split. I think that goes to show like what is happening right now at Chelsea. Everyone has their opinions on how Chelsea should do this and how Chelsea should do that. And really and truly, look, I'm in the camp of we were never going to address all the problems or issues with the squad that we had in the previous season. And you can only take it one step at a time. We've got new owners, and for all the maybe mistakes you want to call them in terms of the subtlety of their business and how things are so open. Look, one thing that we can say, and no one can like dispute that, is that they are trying. They're there to put their money where their mouth is. They're trying to make moves. They want to improve. They want to back Tuchel. They're doing the right things from an intent point of view. And I think that is the first step. I'm more than happy to be patient, to give them time to learn how the transfer market works in football. This is a new sport for them. This is a new territory for them. And Cam will probably know more than anyone else from the guys that watch baseball, and they talk about the LA Dodgers and how they're very, very active there. Like, they've shown that same activity, that same intent there. So from the Bowley's perspective, just putting it out there now, I'm willing to hear what they're saying. Like, I'm here for it. Like, it's not like they've been shy about it, because ownership, there's so many aspects to ownership. The transfer market is literally just one of a million things, and they've shown like good focus, good attention. They just haven't got it right. I'm willing to give them time to get it right. That's the
Daniel,
first.
can I ask? So just on the back of that, you're saying they're getting it right, and they're sort of, as you know, they're learning.
I didn't say they're getting it right. I didn't say they.
No, you said they're learning. They're learning to get it right, and of course, it's going to take time. It's never going to happen straight away. But aren't you concerned with the lack of strategy at the moment? Because it's not clear. None of Chelsea's moves or your sort of the way that you're moving in this transfer market shows strategy. It's just sort of, oh, here's an opportunity, here's a hijack, here's a player that doesn't want to go to this club, or here's a potential player that's not going to go to another club. And you guys are just trying to get in with all these different deals, rather than saying, here's a specific amount of players I want, or here's the positions I want to fill, and I'm going to go for these players first and go for this. I know the centre backs is a priority, but are you not concerned about that? Like,
I'm not going to disagree, because all fans can do is respond to the news that is given to them. So we're just reacting to the news that we get. What I will say is that the strategy is to buy players in the positions that we need players for. I will agree that maybe in terms of I don't know what's the new word on Twitter, misprofiling or all of that kind of stuff. Like if you think that the profile of players that we're going for are different, that's neither here or there. I think we're linked with a number of quality players that each in their own right would add something different to the squad that we have right now.
So I think what Bowley's doing, sorry,
on.
Daniel, because you mentioned it, like from the way he operates in other sports and the way other sports work is a lot of the times it's just go after really good players that the coaches can work with and figure it out from there. He's doing the same thing. He's doing the exact same thing. I don't know if it works in football. I really don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. But what he's doing is he's like, oh, that guy's good. He's available. Can we get him? Oh, that guy's good too. He's available. He's having all these talks. He might need to bring in a good director of football or somebody.
He will.
This is where Michael, God forbid this happens, but this is where Michael Edwards would be perfect for Chelsea, because at the moment, it's not really even organized chaos. It's just chaos at the moment. And Daniel, you alluded to that I'm willing to give him time and that, but if there's one owner you don't really want to take over from, it's Roman Abramovich, because of the success you've had. And the last 20 years, you've been the most successful team. So, and I also feel Chelsea are almost a victim of their own success, because your fan, I've been hearing Chelsea aren't under pressure this season. But however, your fans always expect minimum a trophy per season. So is this really the right time to kind of give some time and relax?
No. What I'll say is, look, fans will be fans and fans will always do what they need to do. We've seen multiple other fan bases be in hysteria, complain at their ownership, complain at their manager, and still have that same manager for 5 years, 5-6 years. So I'm not bothered. Like, let's remember that owners will do what they think is best for the club, regardless of what the fans say. If we can park that and all agree on that, then we can move forward. There's obviously a lot of points, so I'm just going to try and address them all very, very quickly. Firstly, with Cucurella, I think it will be very good to have someone like him in the squad. I think what's interesting and where you can see a link is that obviously where we were going in for Ake, one of the biggest things or reasons we were going for Ake is because of his versatility. Yes, we had questions, or fans had questions about his ability, his actual ability as a football player, but Tuchel liked the fact that he could play as a centre-back and also play as a left wing-back and play as a left-back. I think with Cucurella, we see the same things where he can also play as a left centre-back and play as a left wing-back. Obviously, there have been questions about his height and all of that kind of stuff, but the questions haven't been as strong as Koundé, and the reason why the questions haven't been as strong is because he's prem-proven. People have seen him week in, week out, and they can say that he's a good player. Then with Bowley, we're talking about bringing in a director of football and all of that kind of stuff. That can only happen after. This is literally his first summer window, and I believe in terms of him heading the transfers, this will be the last window where he's the head of all the transfers, like where he's the one sanctioning everything, where he's the one going into negotiations. I actually believe this will be the last window. If it's not, then we will have this conversation again. But like, we have to give it time. I am willing to give it time. I'm not speaking for the Chelsea fan base, but I am.
Well, what about like the prioritization of things? You know, I know that center back and the wing back positions have been spoken about a lot, but a lot of this is like center backs are more like your starting 11, but your wing backs are more of like, you know, rotational options for Chilwell and maybe Reece James. What about midfield and the attack? Like those positions, that's addressing your literal starting 11 that needs to be improved. Do you have like kind of worries that you're going to spend maybe 70 million on Fofana, 50 million on, you know, Cucurella, and then you still have more to do? You can't go in. Yeah.
I mean, I don't honestly believe, like, if we focus on the money, we're gonna be here forever. Like, the money isn't actually the problem. It's whether those investments are worth the player that you're getting, and that's what it comes down to. No one will be complaining about Maguire for 80 million if Maguire was performing to the level of the player that you expected to get. It's the same with any big money signing. Like, so I'm not necessarily bothered about the finances. I'm not an accountant. I'm not working for the club as an accountant. I don't do it.
You can only spend so much, though. Like, that's the reality. I mean, you guys have lots of funds, but you can only spend so much. But struggling to sell at the same time as well. So it's kind of like, what are you going to do?
You said something that was so key, though, where it's like, you look at a player in Cucurella, where one of the biggest reasons or biggest things that Chelsea fans were saying last year, myself included, with our creativity coming from our wing backs, with our creativity coming from players in those half spaces, when Chilwell and Reece James weren't about, we just weren't the same team, and everyone could see that. And yes, it was an excuse, definitely an excuse, but it was a valid excuse, and we had to point that out. So having Cucurella,
so would you say that, like, in priority wise, like getting another wing back so that that position doesn't fall back when you don't have your number ones is more important than getting more depth or better quality in the center of midfield, because you have Jorginho, Conte, Kovacic. You're good with that.
I think centre midfield is the last issue. Fair enough. Some people have things where they want Declan Rice, they want Frankie de Jong. Look, Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante are a good three to go into a season with again. I just, that's my personal opinion. Some people will disagree with me, but that is the least of our concerns right now. I do think the attack, last point, I do think the attack and definitely the defense, so if you want to include the wing backs as the defenders, are the areas of improvement first.
But wait, Daniel, would you say Kovacic, Kante, and Jorginho as of now are the correct?
Yes.
No, but with Kante and Kovacic's injury, the golfing class, once you bring on the Barclays and Loftus-Cheek, the golfing class is quite big. So I would say that's an area you still need to address.
The golfing class, though, in every midfield, we spent the season listening to Liverpool fans say that when Henderson comes into the side, the golfing class between Henderson and the starting midfield is poor. We literally spent the whole season saying that when Lukonga comes into the Arsenal side, the golfing class between him and the guys that start is poor. We literally spent a whole season talking about Tottenham side, where Harry Winks or Oliver Skip has to come in. The golfing class is poor. We literally spent a whole season where we spoke about the Man United side, where it's even the starting players, Bruno Fernandes and Pogba, is poor. They didn't even have a golfing class to talk about. So for me,
I know, but you guys are trying to compete with the two teams that are trying to win the titles. You can't use Manchester United, Spurs, and Arsenal as your benchmark.
You're using lesser teams just there.
Listen. I use the top 6 as an example, and I think it's valid. The reason why I say we are, and I've already said it. So if you want me to say it again, I was wrong in thinking that we were ready to win the league last year. So for me, when I look at the team,
I love that.
I can't lie, I was with you, Daniel.
Because last season you said your depth and quality was the same as Manchester City. I swear you.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But I actually think, again, I've said this for a while about Chelsea. I don't think certain areas of the pitch are as bad as people are making.
They're not.
And the one thing that I was critical of Chelsea of the back end of last season is they started to become a little bit too easy to break down and score against. And Thomas Tuchel clearly wants to build a team that is resolute, strong at the back, hard to break down. And the Todd Bowley being like messy, no strategy, I think it's been blown out of proportion. I think the only thing that's messy is his control of the media. Unlike a lot of the clubs being repped on this panel tonight, Chelsea's controlling the narrative in terms of what stories have let leak out and what they've allowed to be said has been crazy. Liverpool are the best at it. They let nothing out. But they're going around talking to multiple clubs, multiple players in the same way as everybody. Spurs have got Pedicic. That man is renowned for literally going, right, boom, 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 boom. It goes after multiple players at once so we can get the right people. Todd Bowley's just been a little bit too brash, a little bit too American, a little bit too noisy. But you actually listen to what's being said. Tuchel suggested Koulibaly, but said, you're not going to be able to get him, though. He's going to be too difficult to get. Done. I really like Raheem Sterling. Probably can't get him, though. Todd Bowley went and got it done. And I think for me, that's what really stands out as being impressive, is that they've landed players that Tuchel didn't expect, and they're players that Tuchel wants. So I'm Chelsea, they may not look that prepared for the beginning of the season, but I think it's a madness to absolutely write them off. And on Cucurella, when City were going to spend, being reported to spend 50 million.
It was the best signing in the world.
Everybody's, oh my God, when they add him in, they're complete. No one can compete. Chelsea is suddenly linked with him. And I know we've asked the question. People are moaning that the polls up there. But now it's like, oh, is he really worth it? Will he improve Chelsea? What will he really bring? I'm like, hang on a minute. No one was questioning Pep Guardiola.
Can I add to that, please? And the reason why I say that as well, and this is to Chelsea fans as well, is that if Cucurella even had or started badly playing in that Man City side, first thing everyone was going to say is that, oh yeah, first year Pep tax.
But Daniel, you need to understand for certain players and teams, it's normal because City go out there and spend 50 to 60 million pounds on players all the time.
Just tell me, what would the excuse be this season if Grealish doesn't have the season everyone expects him to have?
There is none.
There will be no excuse.
There'll be no excuse. There'll be no excuse. Pep needs one more year because Pep is a genius. Just one more.
That's it.
It makes sense though for those types of players.
How?
Pep's a very specific manager who likes to build his players into his system. So they often don't just come into the team and settle. Players like Bernardo Silva was one of a kind who came into Pep's team and just took over the team.
Are you going to give Haaland 1 year to settle into Pep's system?
Yes. I think I don't think Haaland's going to do great this season. I don't think he's going to score 20 goals, what people think. I think he's going to need time to settle in. I don't. I think he's going to need time to settle into the Pep system, just like any player would. And Cucurella, the reason no one would have brushed an eye at 50 million is because City have spent 50 million on pretty much every one of the players in that starting 11. No one cares about City spending 50, especially when he's going to go in and be the starter for them. For Chelsea, the question is whether he's a starter already, and you've already got a £50 million left back there.
I promise you, Cucurella plays, and especially in a World Cup year or World Cup half a year, obviously because it's December, plays more between August and December for Chelsea than he would if he went Man City.
I mean, he starts for Chelsea. Like, he starts for Chelsea and he starts for Manchester City. Like, he's better than outside of the top 6. And if we really get down to it, he might be better than some of our left backs, but
he's better than United.
Top. He's so good. Like, he's going to start. Chilwell,
sorry, but
backup.
But at City, you've got Cancelo and
you've got Walker.
Cancelo's
Cancelo is a right back, though. I think Cucurella will play on the left.
Sorry, Jay, but I'm sorry, but Cucurella is like the best fullback in the history of the Premier League with Dennis Irwin, because he was actually a right back that played at left back and was seen for 10 years as the best left back in the country. And I've always said this. I think Ashley Cole's amazing, but Ashley Cole had been a world class if he was playing right back for 10 years. Don't know, didn't do it, but literally that's how good he was. Cucurella is that good. Cucurella, the reason why I rate him as an overall footballer is better than Trent is because Trent can do what he does on the left-hand side. Cucurella can do it on both. That makes you maybe not a better right back, it makes you a better footballer.
You mean Cancelo?
Yeah. Cancelo, sorry. Did I say Canelo, the boxer? Sorry,
Cucurella. Yeah, you
sorry. My brain don't always work.
I was like, what?
But the point I'm making is I think he's an excellent player. And I was saying, wow, City are getting a star. I'm just not one of these people that sees him then linked to a different club and suddenly starts to change my mind.
He's not a star anymore.
I've always disliked that kind. I don't know. For me, it's just like dry banter.
The reality, though, is people questioning whether or not he's worth 50 million or not.
I think
Manchester City question it as well because they wouldn't go up. So I think it's a valid argument. They did. They don't want to spend 50 million on him. That's why he's not going.
The value is different. Like, I think
they don't believe that he's worth 50
million. The way
City
works is they typically don't spend what like teams ask, which is really weird. It pisses me off. But they do get players for deals when they need to. It's weird. They do. Like,
I think that they got another target out there that they believe is going to be better.
I'm true, and I stay in the camp. Like, I actually think Cucurella is good for either side. I'm not going to say I think if he goes to Chelsea, he's going to be bad or whatnot. I just stay in the camp, and I stick to what I said earlier. I don't think if Chelsea puts the money up, that City won't say, all right, cool, we're going to grab him. That's all. I truly think that the players had set there. That's just where my opinion.
Do you know what it is? And I hear that, and I fully agree. And I even tweeted. I said, La Masia, Barcelona linked player, and we're going for him.
Pepper's the manager.
Are Barcelona not linked with him as well now?
I will say this though. Well, I will say this. I mean, I know City have come out. It's been quite credibly reported that they won't go above 40 million. But if City were to come back in now and
got him,
I think Chelsea fans would just sign off now until the season starts, because if you lost another one that in that way, I think the pain for Chelsea fans would be far too much.
As well, like losing to Barcelona 3 times, as bad as it looks or sounds, as funny and da-di-da-di-da, at the end of the day, there's only 2 other clubs with as good a pool as Barcelona, and that's Manchester United and Real Madrid in terms of legacy and how big the club is. So when I look at it, losing to Barcelona in the transfer window because of the pool, it's not bad. It's if we lost Cucurella, because I've not even fully tapped into the signing yet, because there's still a part of me that doesn't think it's going to happen. And losing to Man City would be bad. That would be
But to be fair, you wouldn't be losing. So this is what bothers me with the whole hijack.
Obviously,
he was in first. You're not losing to them. They just would go back and get him, I think.
We actually are. There's no way of looking at it.
No.
Really? Okay.
No, you do.
They lose out. That's the way I want to think about it.
It's losing out. I tell you why it's losing out. If you're in a 100-meter race, right, and me and you are racing, you're leading, Cam, the whole way. We get 60 meters in, and then I overtake you, and with five meters to go, I'm winning, and then you go back in front of me. I lost the race.
I mean, yeah, it's likely to happen too if we do race.
Probably, bro. I'm pretty quick, you know. I'm pretty quick. Not nowadays. I drink too much and I eat too much. Do you know what I mean? And get into scraps with dormant casinos. But other than that, I'm all good. I'm all good. It weren't my fault. I want to say, by the way, on this news, I know the big boy tier ones are all talking about it, but Craig Hope from the Daily Mail was the first person to break it before anybody. So remember when you're like bigging up the tier ones that they did not break this news. They held back on it until somebody else took the risk, and then they all went, "Oh, we're gonna go with it now as well." So Craig Hope, I never heard of him until today. He is the journalist that deserves all the credit, the praise, and the retweets. Don't retweet the tier ones who didn't break it. Go retweet him because he was the guy that gave you this news. Big up to him. On the other deal, Fofana. There's talk. Ben Jacobs shared this news earlier on today that there's about a £20 million differential between what Chelsea want to pay and what Leicester want. However, Chelsea are prepared to up that amount. Interestingly, as well, what Dean Jones said earlier on today is that Leicester are kind of prepared to sell him next summer. They always had it in their mind it would be next year that he'd probably go. So there is a kind of openness to him maybe going. I want to get Daniel's opinion first on this. If you end up paying £70+ million for Fofana, do you see that as good value for money?
Said it once, said it again. Everyone's spoken about the money and saying that we can invest in other areas.
Mouthpiece right here.
No, not
I mean,
not even. Everyone said like we should invest our money in other areas, but if we can get the players that we want, and obviously it is a long list of players in each of those positions, if we can get the players that we want, I don't see a problem with it. I'm not fussed about the amount we spend. I just want a return on investment. Obviously, we looked at the Lukaku situation, paying 90-odd million. Some people said, yes, he'd be good. Other people said, no, he wouldn't be good. I just think with Wesley Fofana, we'll look, again, another player that people have been privileged enough to see week in, week out. He is a quality player. He's a quality centre-back. I think he's a really, really top-tier centre-back. Someone who, prior to the injury, was receiving a lot of interest from a lot of the big teams. Liverpool,
you know what, Daniel? It's almost a blessing in disguise. That had he not got that injury, I reckon he would already been at a top 6 club. Whether it's your club, my club, you never know.
100%. So, like, again, I know someone's probably going to mention the price and has every right. It's a valid opinion, 100%. However, I just think that when I look at the signings we've got from Leicester as well, just a bit of added like juice to it. They've done well for us. So.
Is drink water included in that?
I'm sorry.
Okay, wait.
I'm sorry. If it was United going in for Fofana at 70 million,
but that's because why is that though?
That's because you got Maguire.
Exactly.
Wait, can we just confirm that if you do buy him for this amount or close to this amount, he's going to be one of the most expensive defenders ever.
And that's the issue with the price. The feed.
I reckon it'll be swept on the cup. He will prove that he's worth that in about 5-6 months. That's how highly I rate him.
He has to prove that. He may or may not. You don't know. You never know which direction it's going to go in. And that's my thing. I think he's going to be excellent. But if he's not, then he's always the 70 million pound defender. Your price tag only, is put in there when you have
to take that risk. Because look at us, right, with that. Everyone, including Liverpool fans, are saying, 75 million, bit too much. You have to take the risk. Look now, he's the best centre-back in the world. So I think it's not a no-brainer, but I feel that Chelsea should take this risk.
Can I ask a question? Just to the panel. In fact, Jess, I want you to answer this first. If there was a situation, and off the top of my head, maybe someone can bring up a better example once you hear what I say. If there was a situation where there was a player will be sought after the year after, but you had a chance to get him the year before, wouldn't you want your club to put in the resources and put in the mileage to get the player before he becomes subject to 4, 5, 6 offers?
Yeah, but it still depends on other things as well. Like 70 million is a lot. Like we're not talking about 40, 50 million to get it done. Like you're talking about, that's a lot of money. But I get where Chelsea are at right now. Like the window, it's not closing, but you've went through a couple of different options. It hasn't worked out. Fofana is probably the only one left in that tier that you can get. And so now Leicester kind of have all the cards in their hands. So you kind of have to do what they want or give them what they rate the player as, because they also know next summer that Real Madrid, Barcelona, all
they need to sell them. That's the difference.
I look at it completely
I get that.
Man.
Oh,
sorry.
I think you're in a good. I think you're in a. Oh no, go ahead. No, finish.
Like, I just think when he says the 70 million, okay, when you say get a player before they get to like too many offers in, that's cool. Like, Jess, I agree with you. When that price is like 40, 50, and you're like, that's still a little bit, but you know what, we'll do that. When it's 70 million, he shouldn't be more than 70 million next year. Like, 70 million is gonna put him in this class of one of the best defenders in the world.
In the modern day,
I'd want Fofana.
That's the fall.
Listen,
I can give you guys a better example of what we. Okay, because Arsenal bought Saliba for 27 million when he was like 18, and we took that risk because we knew we wouldn't be able to get him next summer. 27 million is way different than
but 27 million for William Saliba was a lot of money to invest in someone.
That's not. It's a good risk to take because you can resell him. That's a fair amount.
But what I do want to happen is that if you guys do buy Wesley Fofana for 70-something million, you've set the precedent. So if we ever want to sell William Saliba, we'll ask for 100. So that's the only thing that's good about this whole thing.
You know what's crazy though? When you actually look, I know he had the injury, but he's only played 35 Premier League games for Fofana. I mean, we know he's looked great. The one thing I would say though, in defense of Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel has had a knack so far at Chelsea of making defenders look a lot better than I think they really are. Because I don't think Rudiger's as good as everybody's making him out to be. Because he isn't. It's not a hot take. The years before that he was at the club, before Tuchel arrived, no one was talking about being one of the best centre backs in the world. And I've been in this game 9 years, and I do not remember his name coming up ever in top centre back in the world conversations until Tuchel arrived. And that system elevated.
Not even just in the world, Terry, let alone the league. He wasn't even coming up in conversation.
No one was talking about him. I just remember it. Equally, though, if Fofana goes there and is good, and I'm talking, okay, if he's like sort of 7.5, 8 out of 10 and above on a consistent basis, no one will ever mention the price tag. But if he does start looking a little bit ropey, if there's, and you know what's happening now? It's happening to every player.
One bad game.
Man United conceded a goal yesterday that had nothing to do with Lisandro Martinez, and Gooners are making clips of it. And, look how bad
I beg to differ.
The thing is, though, I don't think that will happen with Fofana. I think a lot of people are fans of Fofana. As you said, he's a player that everyone's seen, and a lot of people they know his potential. No, Daniel,
don't be naive.
Give it a second, Daniel. I know.
One sec. You can have fans before. Once you go to one of the top 6 clubs, you are no longer.
Jadon Sancho was loved by every fan base because he was young. He was into stuff that's cool and modern. He's friends with some of everyone's famous rappers. He had everything, and then he became a Man United player, and it was like, right, we have to say he's flopped, even if he ain't. He didn't flop last year, but we knew everyone turned on him. And you don't feel that. You don't feel that because you're a Spurs fan and no one cares about your club. When you support the big boys, Terry. It's true. We don't care about you.
It's so true. Nobody hates any Spurs players.
But that's obviously wrong. But I don't want to take it to Spurs now. We're talking about Chelsea. Fofana, he's a player, as you said, that everyone's watched. Everyone's
I'm sorry to interject. This is the best comment of the day so far. Big up Hugh Wizzy in the thumbnail. I mean, just going with the hair.
Oh my gosh.
It's a little bit Hugh Wizzy. There you go. Sorry, go on. Sorry, bro.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, look, good player. I don't think a lot of people are gonna get onto him too bad. Will he recover from the injury so well and stay at that ability? We'll be yet to see. But the one thing that I noticed about Chelsea, and the one thing that I think why a lot of us fans are onto them about price tags, but Chelsea fans aren't, is Chelsea don't ever buy players for resale value, and they don't ever take that into consideration. They just buy a player, and if they sell in the next couple of years or have any resale value, they don't give a fuck. Because you see right now, they've got Drinkwater, they got Bartley, they got all these players. They spent 30, 40. Ziyech, they're trying to get rid of, I heard, for 10 million. They bought him for 40 million a few years ago.
No, he didn't. He
was a 35 million pound player, was he not?
30-something million.
How old is he? How much was he, Daniel?
It was
35 to 40 million.
32.
Plus add-ons, it was close to 40 million. You guys are trying to get rid of him for less than 10 mil. So again, with this Fofana deal, I think that as outside fans, we're going to look at it being a lot of money. And although I do think it's a lot of money, as Daniel has said, for the investment for what Chelsea want, a young defender who fits Tuchel's system, I don't think it's a bad investment as a whole, especially if it works out.
The only thing I'm going to say about this is that he's definitely going to be top. He's going to be good. But at some point, Chelsea have got to, I know they don't want to, but you can't, it's like you're going to spend 70 million on a player that's amazing, but you had like Tomori and Gahey, and now you're going to get rid of Caldwell. Like, this stuff doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Maybe because I'm not a Chelsea fan. Maybe Daniel, you can explain it to me. But is it not frustrating seeing these young players leave and you turn around and spend 70 million on somebody who's probably in the same bracket as them?
Tomorrow's
Like,
probably
it's
better
just
than him.
it's wild.
It's pathways. That's why Amari Hutchinson is with us. Pathways.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be. But then what we have to say at the same time as saying Chelsea in their history haven't done all these things, we're also saying that Chelsea are no longer under Roman Abramovich. Chelsea fans have got to change their perspective. So maybe they are going to start doing things differently in that respect as well. So look, only time's going to tell with that. Another player, of course, linked to Chelsea today. Linked to
Chelsea today.
Well, partly you are. There's a lot of overlapping deals that you're kind of involved with. The Spanish outlets are now sort of changing their thought process again around Frankie de Jong. We're going to kind of touch on Bernardo Silva a little bit later, but what Sports, who are the outlet that says he hates Manchester and doesn't like Ten Hag a few days ago, they've now stated, just to prove tap in tier 1 Terry correct, that de Jong. I trust Sport again because they're saying what I believe. That's how it works, isn't it? He says that de Jong has not rejected Man United. He refuses to negotiate with anyone unless he knows what will happen with these deferred wages and signing bonus from Barcelona is what's been initially said. It also states, though, in the same report, for full disclosure, that he prefers Chelsea over Manchester United. So what are you saying, Cam, here? Can you see another Chelsea hijack? Do you think Chelsea are going to come in and take de Jong away from Man United? Because all roads still look like a de Jong exit from Barcelona.
Could happen. I mean, this is the thing. Here's my whole situation. I think this is going to go to court. Like, Barca are crooks, but the real talk. Like, I don't even want to talk about that. But
all right, Gary Neville.
The crazy thing about this whole situation is if Chelsea go in and actually give Barca money after Barca literally took all of their players from them, that'll be funny to me. But I do believe he could go there because if he wants Champions League football, they can give it to him. If that's truly what he wants, like if we're listening to what people are saying, cool. But what I actually think is the truth is he's more than happy to go play with Ten Hag. He's more than happy to come play at United. I think all that's been said and done, like you've been saying on a lot of your streams, is that he can't come out and say, I want to go anywhere because he's not going to get that money. This whole thing of that, if he takes a new contract, that money goes away. 17 million? Nobody's leaving that on the table. So he's sitting there being like, all right, cool. Whoever's going to tell me what's going to happen with my money, how I'm going to get my money, then we'll start talking. And if Chelsea comes in and they offer a better deal, more money, then yeah, of course, I'm never going to say we can't lose out to Chelsea in that right because of the whole Champions League football thing. Now, do I think it's going to happen that way? No, I think he's going to come to – I think if he leaves Barca, I truly actually think he's coming to United just because all that groundwork's been done. It'd be crazy if Erik ten Hag went this long into the window, keep going after him, and doesn't have a belief that he wants to come here. That would be insane to me. So I'm looking at it as I'll never say Chelsea can't hijack this deal because they've got Champions League football. But everything else says he's coming to United as long as that money gets sorted. That's how I look at it.
Are you nervous though that, like, obviously I'd imagine that this deal doesn't get done. And do you know what? Anything can happen, but I'd imagine this deal doesn't get done before the start of the Premier League season. Mm-hmm. Are you worried that your squad's a bit thin? Like, I know Ten Hag has got this track record of only going for his first choice. If he's not, then he's going to wait.
Yeah. Of course, we're super thin. Like our midfield, we had like 6 guys leaving. We brought in 1, like, right. So we're super thin at midfield. What I would like to see, and this is and I truly believe this, I don't want to see us go unless the players like Ruben Neves, who I actually rate very highly, and gives us something a bit different. I don't want us to just go and get any midfielder. We saw this with Jose. Jose didn't want Fred, didn't work out. We saw it with Ollie. Didn't want Donny van de Beek, didn't work out, right? I don't want us to just go and get a player that Erik ten Hag's like, I don't want, because we do have some players in the academy he could probably help grow. At the end of the day, we're in our first year of our rebuild. Patience is okay. It is okay to wait for the right player. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend I'm not like every United fan out here. I want Frankie de Jong. Like, we need him. If he comes in, I will say with chess, we finish top 4. If he doesn't, yeah, it might be a dicey season.
It's
top 4.
Yeah. Well, It's an interesting one with De Jong. I'm still worried about Chelsea. I've said it all summer. I really believed he was going to leave. More reports on being sent from Spain are now saying that the reason that he's had to keep stating how much he wants to stay at Barca, it's in contracts of Barcelona players to not speak about leaving or putting in transfer requests, all these things, which we were talking about 8 weeks ago. Where people, he doesn't really want to leave. Of course he doesn't. However, Laporta's now come out, and I knew that this interview was coming because Ben Jacobs, when he did the show with me on Wednesday last week, he was literally doing the show, then going to the airport to fly to New York to do the interview with Laporta. And Laporta's now stated, I cannot categorically say that it's not impossible for De Jong to go to Man United. So he's basically saying going to Man United
is there. It's on the table.
We know it's there. We know it's there. And this time he was talking to a serious media outlet and not just a bunch of journalists outside the stadium where he can kind of mouth off and then walk away really quickly. He's actually being interviewed.
And you know what, Terry?
Go on, bro.
There has to be some sort of inkling. Like De Jong must have told Ten Hag there has to be some sort of inkling that he's coming, because to chase him the whole summer and not get it done, it will just be so embarrassing for United. So I think when it's all said and done, he will end up a United player. I think it could be very late in the window, potentially even a deadline day signing. I know you wouldn't want it to go that deep, but I think it's a possibility.
I think this goes back to what Daniel said earlier too. Would you not spend the money on a player that you could get this year that you may not next year? This is a perfect example of we're probably, I think the deal that we put there, I actually truly think a lot of that we're going to find out is guaranteed money, that 85 or whatever.
Would you pay his wages?
Add-ons. And I think, say again?
Would you pay his wages? Like, you know that report where
No. That's no.
I was
I would never do that. That's different. That's a whole different story.
But didn't that report come out from Terry,
the 80
from
million
Daily
or
Mail
whatnot?
that you were saying is very reliable?
Sorry, George. What did you say, mate?
I was just saying, so that report that we saw earlier about Man United potentially playing all the deferred wages, that was the Daily Mail, which you said was the first to report on the Cucurella news.
So no, So the Daily Mail reported on Sports News. So Daily Mail just did it. So you've got to be careful when you read a newspaper's article. Sometimes it's their journalist with an exclusive story. Sometimes it's a desk journalist just writing what another newspaper has said. So that was a bit like when Sky Sports did the whole De Jong doesn't want to live in Manchester. That was them just quoting what Sport had said. But Sport have been so up and down with this. They were the first outlet to say that he was open to joining Man United. Then they said he didn't want to be here. Then they said that he rejected Chelsea. Now they're saying that he prefers Chelsea. They are so all over the place. It's unbelievable with it. I only really pull on them because when it's negative towards United, everybody believes it. When it's positive towards United, it can't be true. It's all spin. But listen, I think there's definitely a possibility we pay his deferred wages. And that makes me nervous because in the past, paying people huge money when they're coming in hasn't worked. But like I said about the other deals already today, if he comes in and he's brilliant, then I don't really care. No one will care what he costs. I mean, KJ's backstage and he says, look at Timber. He didn't want to join. We moved on. But the difference was Timber wasn't the player that we wanted to orchestrate our system around. There is a fundamental difference to me in that. But I want to go to some of these super chats that have come in because I don't want to miss them because obviously people donate towards the Terrace. What's this one here? So, hi, Terry. Do you think instead of chasing Anthony, United should go for Ziyech? Chelsea want to sell and he's really good under Erik Ten Hag. I said it on my show with Dean Jones earlier. If we could pick him up for like 8 million quid and we didn't get Anthony, for £8 million, it's almost a no-brainer. Even if he flops, it's 8 million quid. Like, it wouldn't bother me that much. But idealistically, no. I don't think so. There is some breaking news actually that's come out. I've been sent a DM a few times, and people in the comments won't stop mentioning it, so I will say it. Damasio has stated that Timo Werner. I don't think he said he's going to RB Leipzig. He says RB Leipzig are ready to submit an official offer to Timo Werner. It would be for a permanent deal. So he hasn't stated that he's going to Leipzig. That's a little bit of fabrication. Damasio has said that an official bid is coming in for Timo Werner. This comment here says, Cam, Arsenal paid 50 million for Cam, Arsenal paid 50 million. Is White worth that? Arsenal overpaid for him. He's worth around 35 million max, but they bought him because Arsenal needed him. Big up is what Zane says. Smoky Settings says, these French defenders always get rated because they are athletic players. Forfana is nowhere near 70 million. Leicester have to sell. That's their problem. We have one here. Benny McCarthy, what's your thoughts, Tel? I don't really have any thoughts. I don't know if it'll be good or bad. I'm just glad that he's not Irish with ginger hair, because then the Man United fan base would be absolutely raging. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. is it George? What was that performance from Basuma? Did he have a bad game?
Pre-season, I don't mean nothing to me.
No, tell me more. Tell me more. What happened to Basuma? How'd he play?
It wasn't a terrible game. I mean, Jose played the way Jose will play, is where they sit deep and they frustrate you, and that's what they done. They frustrated us.
Oh, did you
It was a
lose?
scrappy
So you guys
1-0.
still can't break down low blocks. You're still there.
It's still a lot. There's still a lot of work to do. But what I can say is, we're in a better place than you. We're in a better place than the title winners of pre-season.
Hey. I mean, we are moving on to Arsenal a little bit later, so hold that thought, people. Speaking of Tottenham, I wanted to throw this other bit of news out there. Newcastle have just increased their bid to £50 million for James Maddison. Big Tottenham target. He's been an Arsenal target in the past. Surely you need Maddison. Like, Spurs' transfer has been okay, but surely you need a player like James Maddison, someone with actual creative spark in the middle to be able to open teams up, Jods.
We need a player like him. I don't think we need him. That's the thing. I think for the price, look, I don't think we're going to get into a bidding war with Newcastle for one. We know they've got more money and they're willing to throw a lot at him. I personally don't think that he's worth the 60 million or whatever Leicester are quoting for him. Zaniolo is looking more and more of our target. I would have preferred Paqueta, like you said, but Paqueta is seemingly looking like City are going to go in for him. And if City go in for him, there's no chance for us. So Zaniolo is a good player. I think he's going to be the option that we're going to go for. A player that's more suited to Conte's system, more versatile. I think James Maddison forces us to change our whole system to fit him in it. And personally, I don't think he starts in our first 11 right now. So spending another £60 million on a player that's only going to go sit on our bench, it doesn't make sense to me after we've already done that with Richarlison.
That was like the wildest thing I've ever heard you say. Maddison doesn't start for you?
No, he doesn't. How does he start? We would have to rechange our system. He's not going to put Kulusevski on the bench. I'm sorry. If you saw what Kulusevski does to our team, the way that he links up with Kane and Son, and just him as a player, Maddison's not going to bring what he can bring to our team.
It doesn't change your system that much if you play a 3-4-3, but you have a 10 sitting behind two strikers. So, like, I feel like if you play it that way, if you're just talking about player for player, like outside of a system, he's definitely better than some of the players that you guys got. I think he has so much on him, and I think he's worth at least 50 million, at least. Like he's
maybe
good.
Outside of systems, I think you're right. But Conte is very specific, as in his players play a specific way with his system, and their patterns of play are what he sets up. We don't really need these creative players to come in and just sort of find a creative spark in the middle of games, because we're gonna play a certain pattern throughout the game.
George,
and yes, the 3-5-2 is a good option to have. But sorry, Rons, just really quick. The 3-5-2 is a very good option to have. I just don't think that Maddison's going to come in and we're going to be like, oh yeah, let's change our formation, get Maddison in the pitch.
I mean, you guys are talking about still not being able to break down low blocks, and Maddison is the type of player that can help you.
But Madison's
unlock that.
Conte.
But George,
because that Zanolio guy is going to get injured. He had 2 ACLs in a row.
Yeah,
he's also really injured.
But I agree with George. I don't really feel Spurs do need Maddison, because Kane's basically doing what Maddison would do anyway. The way he drops deep creates anyway. So I don't think Maddison is really a priority. He'll be more of a want than need. I agree with George.
Yeah, literally that.
So I think I don't know. I kind of see what Jess is saying though, because like, if they're struggling with breaking down teams, it's not like having Maddison listen, Spurs just spent 70 million on Richarlison, who's going to be a backup. Like Spurs, their problem has always been depth and numbers and having proper depth. If they get Maddison, that's proper depth, right? That does help if a Kane gets hurt, because he gets hurt every now and then. It does help if you need to switch it up and a team is frustrating you. I think that's kind of I'm not saying you're right. Maybe you don't need him, but I think you need a player like that to take that next step, because we see it. If you go into the league right now and you can't break down these teams that are low blocking you, you're going to lose those games and City's going to steamroll them, right? And that's where the gap is. The gap we all know is City goes on those 20-game runs, whereas Tottenham starts drawing some of those games. That's going to hurt you. So having a different player, a different profile player, somebody like Maddison's a great player. My only problem with Maddison is that he's injured a lot. That's my only issue with him. He's made of, as Terry says, what is it, biscuits or whatnot? Like
if he's not going to play every single game,
right? So if he's not going to play every single game, then sure, he could come in. I think letting Newcastle get him actually hurts a lot of us, because realistically, that's the type of player they're going to start trying to go after more and more and build around.
Well, I look at it this way: the fact that I mean, look, Richarlison's a good player, and I know he can play to the left and the right and centrally. But Harry Kane can play a couple of positions. Kulusevski can, Son can. The money would have been better spent on James Maddison, in my opinion. Creating and dictating. It's one of the reasons why Spurs went in for Eriksen until he said no because he wanted to go to Man United. You wanted someone in that space. I do agree with you. That's true. I do think like the reason you're going to pull away is because of the money. You've overspent on Richarlison as an example. The reason it took so long to get Jed Spence done is you didn't want to quite spend as much money as possible. And that's the risky. If you don't end up getting Conte all the players that he wants and things don't quite go as well on the pitch, that's when your manager becomes more of an issue. So if you don't get Maddison, someone else, another creative spark, someone from that central area needs to come in because that's needed.
The thing is with Maddison as well, very briefly, is that he's just a number 10. I know he can play in the 8, but he doesn't do that as well. He can't play on the right. I've seen him play out there on the wide. He's not a player that can run at play as well. He's not a good one-on-one dribbler. So he's a player that you have to play in the 10. And because we play without a 10, it's going to be very hard to fit him into a system that we generally don't play ever. We played a 3-5-2 once last season. That was against Liverpool. It worked well. But our team doesn't play like that. So I hear what everyone's saying. We need the creative player like him. I don't want him. I don't think he wants.
George, I completely agree with you because the modern day player needs to be able to play in several positions. And this is what I've alluded to before. He's literally just a 10. And for him to work at Tottenham and excel, you would have to change your formation and don't really fix what's not broken because you had a good end to last season. And you're just adding quality to it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Let's do some more of these super chats here. This one says Elise should be the Anthony alternative. Yeah, a lot of people rate him.
Neto.
Big season
right?
for him.
I'd rather Neto.
I like them both. I mean, they're both those types of players that in a year or so, they need that big move to really see how good they are. Because when you play against teams that don't sit in a low block, it changes the world. Look how good Jesse Lingard looks when he's up against a low block. He actually looks like a baller. There's literally no quality forward left available for Chelsea to buy right now, but loads of quality defenders available.
Not true. Not true at all.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want, but
Wait. Who are the quality forwards that are available that you think are good?
Better than Haaland, Shishko.
It depends on what you say. What available is. Every player is available for the right price, and I mean, there's plenty of good forwards out there that Chelsea can sign.
So who's available for the right price?
I heard Neymar is for sale.
You just spent half an hour talking about how you think that Forfana might not be good for 70 million. So who's available?
I didn't say he wouldn't be good. I said that he depending on
that price.
Depending on the price, yes. So again, for strikers, I think the market's different. 60 to 70 million for a striker is pretty much a normal price nowadays for a foreign striker. Osmihen's out there. Isak's out there.
Jonathan Davis
out there.
available.
I think this is right.
Ollie Watkins is there.
The forward market is not good. And we know that because Rafinha went for 65 million. Rafinha is a great player, but he was never worth 65 million. Ajax want 80 million or something for Anthony.
I actually ain't selling it, Anthony.
The forward market is not good.
And one of the points that I didn't even get to mention I feel like for you to spend, and obviously it's not even shade, but spend that amount of money on a defender, you have to be really, really bad, and you have to stand out for you not to get that return of investment on that defender. Do you know what I mean? And it's only a handful of defenders who have done that. Do you know what I mean? Without saying any names.
Maguire.
I get that. I mean, there is a striker. There is a striker out there you could go for, though. This guy is playing in an inferior league to the Premier League. 266 goals in his career. Still not 30 years of age. Lukaku. Now, I heard, Daniel, that you like him. I've heard you like him.
In all honesty, though, who I would take is I would go for Depay. I think Depay would be a very good, shrewd.
I'll be honest with you, I still think Chelsea could end up with Cristiano Ronaldo by the end of the transfer window. As much as they keep saying no, I think Ronaldo is a last minute buy for a Bayern, an Ati or a Chelsea. Almost there was no one else for a year he could do you a job, but I still think he might end up at Chelsea. Cristiano Ronaldo. And then you suddenly watch all the Chelsea fans change and they think the greatest player in the world ever is. You know what I mean? It all changed. Oh, he's that boy now. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Another super chat here says Chelsea are going after the right targets. They are not getting them because the owners are new. He will figure it out. Money is not the problem, is what Erik believes. Big up the panel and Terry's hairline. Thank you, Emmanuel Drip. I appreciate that. The hairline was looking strong Saturday night. Terry, bro, I love your football analogy. I agree with you and Jess. Spurs should have got Maddison instead of Richarlison. Roma will play how most Premier League teams play. Again, to beat Antonio Conte, play low block against him, and they're done. Do you just take away the counter-attack opportunity? They've got nothing left. Do you think Arsenal will deliver when the pressure is on? We're going to come on to that a little bit later. Last time Leicester sold an imposter, they managed to get enough money to build a training facility. Thoughts on Fofana is good, but you never. That is true. They literally did. They improved their team with Sionchu, and they built a new training facility. It's actually mad. It makes me feel pain. It'll be back this year, Maguire. Don't worry. It'll be back in the Europa.
Didn't Ben Jacobs say that they're not selling both Maddison and Forfana?
He said that it's unlikely. That again, it's one of those things. They're not going to unless the money is crazy. So I think I think that's what it'll boil down to. But equally, you've got the Tielemans doing that as well, which Arsenal are still the front runners for. If Maddison and Fofana were to go,
I even forgot about Tielemans.
They're not going to sell Tielemans. Like that's why this Leicester thing.
But they will sell Tielemans because they can't afford to let him go for free. His contractual situation is different than the rest of them.
I also don't think
can't let Tielemans go for free.
It is. However, if they get silly again, if you get silly money, if you get 20 million more for Fofana than you expect, you end up getting 20 million more than you really expect to get for James Maddison. You can allow Tielemans to leave for free because you made that money elsewhere. That's why net spend.
I've never seen a club make that decision before.
Well, you have.
I got money.
No. I tell you why you haven't seen it, because the world in the newspapers works in net spend, and that's not how clubs work. They don't work like that. So my point is,
we work like that.
Well, you guys don't work on net spend because you actually work more on the way you bonus your players. Liverpool's system, especially your wage structure, is absolutely phenomenal. But when you win things, your wage structure becomes the biggest outgoing wages in the Premier League because it's also heavily reliant on bonuses. But of course, but again, people don't ever talk about it. It is boring. I get the financial stuff is very, very boring. But we'll see. Look, I still think Tielemans will leave. I don't think Fofana and Maddison will go. But it is interesting because they start going. It depends who Leicester bring in. Would Leicester really let all three go without adequate replacements between now and the end of the window? I can't see it myself. Like they've still got to try and compete and be a good team, but we'll see.
Can I also put this? I know, I just wanted to put this out here just because we're talking about Maddison. Is that there are a lot of reports on the Leicester side that he's angling for a new contract as well. So he may be the one not really looking to go. So I would just say look out for that as well.
Could be true. See what else comes in for him, what they bid. I wanted to talk Man City. I know Man City fans say I never talk about us on here. Interestingly, Fabrizio, someone I don't know where this new sayings come from transfer journalists, but he said that Bernardo Silva to Barcelona is on. Don't know where that's come from. That's a joke. But he said that it's on, but only if Frankie de Jong leaves to Man United or Chelsea. Or just leaves in general. I've added the Man United Chelsea bit. That's his in for him. But Bernardo Silva leaving, the talk is paqueta to come in and replace him. Is that an upgrade, downgrade? What we're saying?
That's a massive downgrade. I mean, Bernardo Silva, the player who he is, I think he's one of the best creative midfielders in the world right now, and he has been for Man City. He was one of their best players last season. Pretty much when KDB wasn't showing up, he put them on his back. It's nothing, no slight to Paqueta, because I would love him at Tottenham. He would be a great player to come and improve us, but for Man City, from Bernardo Silva to him, it's definitely a downgrade. But I think he's a player that over the next few seasons, as Daniel alluded to earlier, he's not going to settle in straight away, but Pep will learn to work him into the system and he'll only get better.
But for me, though...
go ahead.
Yeah, very quickly. I just think that on paper, it does look like a downgrade, but even despite what we have, when we say pep tax or whatever, what year to settle in, look, Man City, you always seem to figure out a way to get it right. Like the players always work, the guys they bring in. Rodri had a slow start. and now Rodri is up there with Fabinho. Definitely, like he looks like a baller. Gundogan had a slow start, and he comes in and he's looking great. Even Bernardo Silva had a little bit of a slow start where he didn't set the league alight, and then he comes back in, looks good. Leroy Sané, how can you sell Sané? One of the best young prospects in the world, one of the best young wingers in the world. Impossible to replace him, and they somehow find a way. Obviously, look, against Liverpool, it was the Community Shield, and obviously everyone's going to react to it because it is the two biggest teams right now, and they didn't look great. I didn't think they looked as fluid. But I mean, when the season starts, they just find a way to.
And you know what, Daniel? There's context to that as well, because if I take my Liverpool hat off, City had only played 2 pre-season games before that. We were on our 5th or 6th game, so everyone's saying City's midfield weren't as fluid. It wouldn't be. We had more minutes in the tank, and just on Paqueta as well. When I watched him for AC Milan, he was much younger, but he was a bit underwhelming. Had a few injuries here and there, but at Lyon, he took his game to the next level. I think if Bernardo goes, it's a downgrade in terms of quality, but I think by the end of the season he'll be amazing for them, because you're playing with better players, so your game's naturally going to elevate. So I think that would be good business by City. Of course, he's not Bernardo, but in 2-3 years to come, he'll
he's been like beyond Mbappe, like the next best player in that league, like last season. Like he's really, really good. I think people either going to look at him and say like they're not similar, like him and Bernardo they're not really similar. But Paqueta he's exciting. Like he's an exciting player, and Pep will be able to figure out a way to hone that kind of like that freeness that he has, and make sure the technical quality comes out, scores goals, can play all across the front line, could play all in your midfield except for in the 6. He's a really, really good player. I mean, I prefer him to go to City than anywhere else because it won't hurt me as bad, because he's definitely somebody I'd want to see at Arsenal. But man, he's a really good player. Like he's going to be scary good. So I can see, and I think Pep, like I think the players that they're bringing in are just so different than what he's done in the past. Like I feel like these players are a little bit more loose and fun. Like you see, like Grealish, like he's a little bit more like a loose, fast player. Like and Paqueta is pretty similar. So I like that. So yeah, Paqueta, he's very good.
I think City's an interesting proposition next year. To be honest, like I've always said this, as long as Pep's their favorites, that's just how I feel about Pep. I think he's that good of a manager when it comes to the league. But the interesting thing is what you just said, Jess, is all these players are very different than what we're seeing now. Like we're seeing, again, I read a really good article about like Haaland and how he's moving with the City team. And it's like, they all have to figure out how to play with a striker now. They haven't played with one for a long time, right? They're all figuring that out. I think City is going to start slow, and then we're going to see the same thing we saw a few years ago come like December. And it's just going to be like, we're going to be in City hasn't lost. Like, you know what I mean? So I think Pep's going to figure out how to use all these players he's bringing in. Like Julian Alvarez is an amazing. I love that player. I really enjoy watching him play. But right now we're seeing Pep not do like for like changes. He's like, well, I'm losing Silva. Okay, well, who's available that I think I could work with? Paqueta, I don't know a lot about him, but I'm reading that he's a good player. When I think about the front line changes they had to make, and you went and got Haaland, Jack Grealish, like these are different players now, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Pep does, because if Pep goes on and wins the league again with a whole new set of different players, it's getting scary, right? Like what's the league going to do? Like you can't beat this man if he can just chop and change and just find a different profile every year and be like, yeah, but I'm still fine. Like letting guys go like Raheem Sterling, bringing in the Jack Grealish before he lets Raheem Sterling, and like these are moves that like Cities, it's annoying how well run they are. It is.
It is. The only thing
what we don't want. I was just going to say the one thing you don't want City to become is a team with technical quality and athleticism. Yeah. That scares me to death. And Paqueta is an athlete. Haaland is an athlete. Like, so now not only can they beat you technically, but they can run you over.
I just don't think.
I don't like it.
Personally, I just don't think, like we talk about this, and obviously we didn't have, obviously some people probably were using YouTube, but it wasn't as big then. We didn't have the benefit to talk about this when Man United were dominating the league. Like, so there's nothing you can do about it. When the team is run in the mind of the world-class manager that you, or the club, is run in the mind of the world-class manager that you possess, same way Man United were run under Sir Alex Ferguson, it's very hard to stop that well-oiled machine. Like, when was the last time Man City finished outside the top 4? it's not even a thing.
Yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean?
exactly. The only thing I would say, and it's again, I think it will work out, but Paqueta's a bit of a roamer, in a little bit of a little bit of a free spirit in terms of what he does, and Jack Grealish was like that, and that's why I think he didn't have a great first season. It may take a little bit of time, but as you said, Cam, it's the precision. It's they know when to replace. They've got their ducks in a row. And there is a comment here that says, Terry, let's stop talking about dream transfers because City will never allow Bernardo Silva to leave at this stage in the window. Well, my friend, he may not go. It may not complete, but every single credible journalist in Europe has said this is a possibility. And if City were not going to let it happen, those informed people would know. And when they're being questioned about it on their channels, on the radio, on TV, they would say, well, City won't let him go. 100% City are also not stupid. This notion that City don't let people go is crazy. If a player wants to leave, City will try and facilitate it because no club likes keeping players that don't want to be there.
Sane, Ferran Torres, perfect examples. Young players who wanted to leave.
Exactly, because you don't want people at your club that are not bought into it. Equally, most players don't stay at clubs that don't want them because you can feel that that's yeah, maybe a little bit of that. Haaland, 2 words, injury prone. Well, we'll be getting onto that in the full preview later on this week. Viewers, by the way, we are sponsored, as you know, today by Manscaped. You can get up to 20% off of all of their grooming products with promo code TFT20. That's on the screen. All the information in our description below. Go and check it out at the end of the show. Kind of brings us nicely on, though, to the sort of the first real element of preview on the football terrace this preseason before the Premier League begins. And I wanted to start off with, obviously, we'll mention them again on the Thursday show. We really go through this in detail. And of course, the big live event Wednesday night. It's going to be amazing in London that we're hosting. But Arsenal Football Club. And I say this because I actually had my best performing, what I call solo video where I spoke about one thing ever this weekend. Simply titled Arsenal Scare Me. And I meant it. I'm not even capping. I'm going to let you guys talk about this more than me. Arsenal look sensational. Arsenal look ready. Arsenal look like, with the players that they've brought in, the individuals that have left, the style of football, Arsenal look great right now. Can they challenge across all fronts? Can they be a threat to everybody this year? Can they look like Arsenal of old? Or, like a lot of people are also suggesting, is that maybe they've peaked too early. Maybe this is just preseason hype and doesn't mean anything. How are Arsenal going to do this year?
Cash, you want to go first? No?
I'll get my little 2 cents out there first. I know you are like busting at the seams to get in on this, Cam. I'll just say my little 2 cents here. The results don't matter, in preseason at all, but the performances do. We've improved. I think everybody can see that. Everybody talked about how we didn't have a striker. We have one now. Say what you want about Gabriel Jesus, but he does take us up a level. All of the players that we brought in make sense. Saliba makes us better. Zinchenko makes us better. We just look like a better team. Does that mean we're going to win the league? Probably not, but I think we're right in the thick of things with everybody else. Manchester United, Chelsea, Spurs, everybody else, that's in and around us. Liverpool and Man City are doing something else to fight for those last 2 spots in the top 4. So anybody who thinks that Arsenal are going to be way off the pace, I think are kidding themselves. But also Arsenal fans that think that a couple of good signings are going to put us up there with Man City and Liverpool are also deluding themselves. So we have to just, kind of keep it calm, but I'm not going to undersell this team. I think we looked really, really good. And it's not just about the results. It's the way that we're playing and the fact that so many people are talking about us. Not only that, people were watching our preseason games and talking about it, not just Arsenal fans. I think people recognize it. So I think there's an element in truth that Arsenal have improved and they look a lot more scary and ready to go. But equally, it's preseason and we just need to at least stay humble, because anything can happen. But yeah, I think we had really good recruitment. We got the players that we needed in. We still need a couple more. But yeah, it's that balance in between not getting carried away, but also recognizing that we do look really good.
So
go ahead, Cam.
So listen, no, I'm not going to trash them because I think they had a decent summer too. But I think it's a bit overrated in the sense where a lot of people are talking about, like, I've never heard Jesus talked about like this. Like, people, like, he's been in the league for years. And I, like, listen, I get it. He was behind in City, but we talk about a lot of City's B players with high regard. I've never heard Jesus talked about the way he's been talked about until he got to Arsenal, started scoring goals like this in preseason, which, okay, we'll see. The big thing for me, and this is the one thing that I think everybody is forgetting, or maybe not everybody, but your manager's still Arteta. And at the end of the day, he still hasn't proven anything to me. He still hasn't proven that he's able to get things over the line. All you had to do was beat Newcastle, and you would have had very different signings this year than you did that. Then you had to go in you would have gone a higher tier because you'd have been in Champions League. That was it. You just had to beat Newcastle. And for a manager like Arteta, where he always seems to have excuses and reasons why they're not good enough. And now this year, you are in every tournament. Like Europa, they all matter. Everything matters. Last year, a lot of them were free hits. You guys were games in hand FC. I remember at one point, it was like statistically nearly impossible for you not to make the top four, and you still pulled it off.
Cam, you can't say Arteta hasn't shown you anything, though, because I know it was 2 seasons ago, but to beat Chelsea and City on the way with an Emery team and win FA Cup, he's shown you something.
Sure, okay. I mean, sure. Okay, fine. That 2 years ago, the FA Cup, but I really just think that's
not with his team.
When I look at what's happening with the league and the other teams, obviously we still need Frankie de Jong, but the teams they're going up against for that last spot are going to be Chelsea, United.
Last Spurs 2 spots. There's 2 spots available.
I think Spurs are nailed on, but that's just my opinion. I think with Conte, I can't see. Right. This is where my rating of managers comes in very important. Like, I rate managers highly in football. I think it's so important. So when I look at the Pep, Klopp, Conte, triumphant, like, they're on a different level. Conte's got his players. He's not going to follow the top 4. Very least, he's not going to do that. So I look at the next 3, and you go Tuchel, Erik ten Hag, Arteta. Yes, Erik ten Hag has not proven anything in the Prem, but he has won 2. He did come back and win the Dutch league when they weren't winning. He did make it to a semifinal in the UCL. He has proven to be a top class manager that everybody wanted. Arteta has not done that. And for me, that's going to be the decider, I think. When it comes down to those 3 teams, you got Tuchel versus Erik ten Hag versus Arteta. If I were to ask everybody on this panel who they're taking out of those 3 managers, they're going to go Tuchel probably, then Ten Hag, and then probably your guy Arteta. And that's the difference, in my opinion, where I think Arsenal will end up missing out on the top 4.
You know what I'll say, yeah? And this might be against the grain, but look, I like Arsenal's recruitment, man. I like what they've done. I like what they're trying to do. Obviously, there are a lot of jokes and things that you can run. He's just trying to build a Pep B team and all of that kind of stuff. But I like what they're trying to do in terms of the guys that they've got. In the attack, they look nice. In the defense, they look nice, especially their starting 11 anyway. And obviously, we've had conversations about who's got the strongest squad and all of that kind of stuff. And, like, this is the year now, like, I think Arteta will need to prove. So like you said, I think what you said is he needs to prove. He hasn't shown you anything. Now I'm saying the second half of that argument for me is that this is the year where I feel like he needs to really show that he deserves to be sitting at the table. Because I just think if Arsenal, there's 3 teams, like you mentioned. If I do go along again with what you said, where Tottenham will finish 3rd and they're nailed on, that there are 3 teams going for that 4th spot. And even though 2 teams have to miss out, it doesn't change the fact that I do honestly believe that Arsenal need to be looking at top 4. Like, I just think not finishing in the top 4 won't be a good situation for them, considering the money that they've invested, considering the fact that, look, Arteta's been backed. It's
an abject failure if they don't make top 4.
Yeah, he's been backed. Like, I don't think, if anything, it puts more pressure on him. And I actually like the guy. I think he's got a bit about him. I think when we see coaches speak, we banter when we say, like, this guy doesn't really look like a coach, and he doesn't, like Frank Lampard, for example. A lot of people don't rate him as a manager and whatnot. I think one thing that I like to look at managers is the way they speak, the way their demeanor, the way their players respond to them. And at the end of the day, every single time where we thought the Arsenal players had stopped playing for Arteta, they suddenly seem to play for him and they kick into gear. So they do like him to a degree. It's clear to see. So now that he's got players that want to play for him and are of a technical ability to the standard that he wants, I think this is the year where, look, the pressure is on and he has to rise to the occasion. I don't know just if a trophy is the objective for Arsenal or Arsenal fans, but top 4 is definitely a must.
Yeah, I think top 4 is on everybody's mind. But the one thing I will say about what Cam said is he has to remember what he says now and apply it to Ten Hag. You know,
I will
I
in
mean,
3 years.
Arteta's coming. No, but you haven't. I mean, you basically writ him off the first year and the second year, and you're saying because he didn't achieve anything for you then that, you know.
But he's got 3. This is year 3. Sorry, maybe Daniel actually probably
So
said it
we're
better.
year
He has
3
to prove it
now.
this year.
Okay, but he has to prove it this year, but that's not what you said. You basically said he hasn't proved anything
I just finished
to
up
you.
his argument, innit?
Da-da-da-da.
Just kind of finish it
So-
up, but yeah.
So all I'm saying is that, like, I get what all of you guys are saying. Arteta is not like of the same. He doesn't have the same CV as everybody else up there, you know. But I think you have to wait and see what he has with his players. This is finally his team. We have a striker. I know people are going to say that team was his too, but like I do think people just wanted to disregard the fact that if every single time we go up against each other and do 11v11s, even with teams outside of the top 6 and Arsenal players don't make it in, then why do you have such high expectations for Arteta with this team? If you think all the players are crap, then what do you expect from him?
I think if you put United squad right now beside Arsenal's, it's very close, like player for player. I actually like, and I'm not gonna be delusional and be like, like United's way better. Last year, I think we would have been if we took your last year team. But what you've added, I'm not going to.
Cam, I think
the
it's
thing
close.
Is here, I think it's real
the thing
close.
is here, Cam, is most Arsenal fans. I don't know about Jess. I can't speak for Jess, of course, but most Arsenal fans will be the complete opposite, and it wouldn't be that your squads are close. They'll say the Arsenal squad is far better than Manchester United squad.
Yeah.
I don't
As
think
Arsenal, I don't know if you've seen the Kings of pre-season just come off of that 7-0 or whatever when it was. Gabriel Jesus, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, we all know him as over the past 4 weeks. I think that, as you guys have all said, that the pressure is on, but I don't expect Arsenal to live up to this pressure. They crumbled when the going got tough last season. At the end of the season, against Newcastle, against who else was it? Crystal Palace, against I believe Brentford, all these lower bottom teams. The Arsenal players didn't show up for their manager. They didn't show up for their man. It wasn't, and I'm not going to hear the excuses that there was no striker, there wasn't this, there wasn't that. They had the players, the core group of players, barring Tierney and was it Tierney, Tomiyasu, and Partey. They had their core group of their best.
That's a lot of players to be missing. If you miss three of your starting 11 players, if you were missing Kane and whatever little center midfielder that you got, how would you guys do? How would you guys do?
Kane, just let me get to my point first, and then you can respond. Yes.
No, I'm not, because you're talking crap right now.
I haven't finished.
You're missing 3 of your starting players, so nothing should change.
Jess. Again, you're missing 3 players that, although you think are so key to this, Arsenal now have replaced some of those players and are quite confident and performing quite well without those players, as Arsenal fans would agree to. So they can't be that important. We can't replace.
We didn't have Zinchenko. We didn't have Zinchenko and Saliba last season.
Again, so
we didn't have
at the back end of last season, it's shown that these players will not turn up when the going gets tough, and we're going to see that throughout this season. They got to play 2 games a week most of the time, like you guys have mentioned, 4 competitions. They didn't do that at all last season. Playing Europa League football is going to get to them, so we're going to see that happen, and those players are going to really feel on the fitness side of things.
You know what, with Arsenal, right? For me, and I don't know if Jess agrees, they still probably need another striker, because if Gabriel Jesus does get injured, I'm struggling to think where the goals may come from, because for me, Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus, there's a golfing class there. So, but I think if Gabriel Jesus does stay fit the whole season, I think Arsenal will just about get that top 4. But I also do feel you may need another DM. There's still certain areas where you could strengthen. But on Terry's question,
you think quickly, just very quickly, it's just a quick question.
Yeah,
so you
think do you think?
As the squads are right now, you think? I just want to hear your opinion and have it clarified. As the squads are set right now, you think Arsenal finishes above Chelsea?
Yes, I would just believe Arsenal finish Chelsea. I think Arsenal would just about get that 4th. I think Arteta's finally got the formula right.
I think the only thing that I think you guys are missing out on is you guys say it's just the manager and the players, but it's also the players playing with the manager, the philosophy, all that stuff mixed in together. We're clicking. I mean, Ten Hag hasn't really got you guys clicking yet. It's early days. Tuchel, you guys are still trying to figure things out. Things are not 100%. I really think you guys underrate the job that Arteta has done.
I agree.
Yes, that's why I think
so we're right, and that's what I'm saying. We're in the mix for top 4, just like everybody else. There's not much in it. And
Well,
it may not be the manager that's the difference. It might be clicking, it might be injuries, it might be this, it might be that. So sometimes I think it's just, okay, what could I find that's just, it could be a couple of different things. I think we're right in the mix.
well,
And
that's
I
why.
like that we're being underrated once again.
Well,
I
you're
like
not being
that.
underrated, but you're not being.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Let
Jordan
me-
said we're not going to make it. Cam said we're
I
not
don't
going to
care what
make
Jordan
it.
said. Let
So
me
we're
finish.
underrated,
Let me finish what I'm
right?
saying. Which I mean, slow down. You didn't hear what I said. You might be being underrated by Jaws and a few people here, but you and most Arsenal fans, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I agree. You guys are up there. You're finishing in you're my first prediction that I'm doing this week, and Arsenal are finishing inside the top 4. They're ahead in their rebuild of Man United. United haven't clicked into place yet. You should be finishing in front of us without a shadow of a doubt. And Chelsea look all over the place. So you should be finishing in front of them. There's 2 teams you are playing better than right now. The mood is better. The fans are more. I think that fans are a massively important part. When fans are happy, teams typically play better.
Yeah.
There isn't the pressure that's put upon them.
So the top
Terry's setting them up. That's what he's doing. He's setting them, finish above Chelsea.
Hang on a minute. This is what happens. Every time I praise a team, whether I praise Spurs, Chelsea, City, I get told I'm setting them up. When I said Liverpool could win the league last year, you're just saying that so you can laugh at them when they don't. It's just
I mean,
You know what though? We do have to be careful because in a month's time when the window is shut, a few signings will change this whole complex of
and
our
this is my
prediction.
point because
A few signings.
no,
But
okay,
go on,
no,
Daniel.
no, you go on. You finish.
Yeah, I was saying currently right now, I believe Arsenal will get top 4. But in a month's time, form will come into it. They would have had played another 2-3 games, and other teams. Chelsea will undoubtedly strengthen. United will get a few more incoming.
I know there's no rules to this. One sec. I know there's no rules to this. But I'm not having that. I'm not allowing you to see everyone play and then we can be like, oh yeah.
I still think Arsenal.
We know that we knew that Chelsea were going to come. Because the point is, look, at the end of the day, if you have Tottenham finishing in 3rd because of the Conte factor, that's fine. And I didn't even get to respond to this fact. But if you're saying that Tottenham are finishing 3rd, then why shouldn't we be saying that Tottenham? They should be putting up a challenge. No, shouldn't
Wait.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Nobody's more confident than Spurs fans. People talk about Arsenal fans being the most confident. Spurs fans are really confident without saying it. They won't say that they're going to challenge because they don't want it.
This season, what will happen is City and Liverpool. It's inevitable. We'll go on a 12 to 15, not unbeaten run, consecutive winning run. Spurs aren't there yet. They may go on a 6 or 7 game winning run, but they're not there yet. That's why you won't challenge. You still won't have that stint in the season.
Antonio Conte had the record before Pep and Klopp came into the league with a Chelsea side that we
That's Chelsea. That's not Spurs.
Guys, well, people say like it was Pep and Klopp that changed the league. It wasn't. Antonio Conte rose those levels first, then went to another level. But listen, because again, we are going to touch Spurs more later this week, and we are going to touch on that and what their fans feel. But what I want to see a bit more from Arsenal fans is forget about, to a degree, when it comes to your predictions, forget about what rivals are saying for a minute. Like, where do you believe? It doesn't matter what George says. That doesn't. George's opinion as a Spurs fan shouldn't change how Arsenal fans feel about their football club. In all fairness, exactly. Then, so the point is, Arsenal fans should all be. With the way Arsenal fans are talking, and I'm on their side here because I believe it, none of you should be predicting anything less than 4th and a comfortable 4th because of what you say about Chelsea and Man United. And some of you should be talking about coming 3rd. And if one of City or Liverpool does have a bad season, which isn't inexplicable because two years ago, City had an average season by their standards. Last year, because of injuries, Liverpool had an average season by their standards. And that's what Arsenal should be looking to do. Arsenal's job this year is cementing top 4 and chopping into the team challenging for the title. Because as we go into the following season, the only acceptable outcome for Arteta is to challenge for the Premier League title because you're Arsenal Football Club. And that goes for all our teams. That goes for all our clubs. If any of our clubs with the money we have, and especially if you've got a world-class manager, that's why Tottenham come into this. Once your manager's been there 2-3 years plus, if you're not challenging for league titles, you're failing. That's it, point blank, period. And football fans have got to raise their standards. Yes, you've got to give clubs time to build and get their feet under the table, have the team that's in their image. But that's where I feel Arsenal are there. And the reason I say I'm scared is because they've overtaken where my team is, and I feel a little bit vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? I do, because like Spurs look good. They do look good. Chelsea are always will turn it around this year with Tuchel. I'm like 90% sure. We know we're sitting Liverpool, and now Arsenal look dangerous. They look really, really dangerous. But I just want to see Arsenal fans have a little bit more confidence, not stupidness, like, oh, we're going to win the league. I think that would be a crazy.
You know what it is, Terry? You haven't spoke to Gal enough this pre-season. That's all it is. Gal's not been on the show as much, so you have not been seeing those Arsenal
how are we saying that Arsenal fans are not confident when we started off this whole conversation about Arsenal fans being confident? That's how we started this conversation.
Yeah, no, I think you're too confident.
No, I think Arsenal. No, what I hear from Arsenal fans is this is some Arsenal fans I hear from. Oh, we're cooking with this. How are you gonna do this yet? Oh, I don't know yet. I'm like, nah, you can't. Like, if you've got that confidence, it's like me saying, oh, my guy's a world-class MMA fighter. How's he going to get on? Oh, I don't know. You know, he might come, top 20. You can't be, if you're world-class, if you're top class, if you have that confidence, you've got to have confidence in the fact that your team is going to achieve. And I just want to hear, it isn't just Arsenal fans. The only reason I'm focusing on Arsenal is because this segment of the show is on Arsenal. I just want to see fans stand up and be fans of their football club, supporters of their football club, to a degree, put their neck on the line and say, this is what I think is going to happen. Not this whole, like, oh, I'm going to play it down like we're underdogs, but deep down inside, I think we'll make it. Say it, man. Stand up. Be heard. That's what I want to hear from people. People say, oh, you're setting people up to fail. Not really. If you get a prediction wrong, do you know how many predictions I've had wrong on social media over the last 9 years? Loads. It's not really done me any harm, has it? Hasn't ruined my career. Oh, the channel's dying because I got a prediction wrong. It doesn't matter. Stand up and be heard. This sitting on the fence, being boring, especially as a content creator, you're never going to make it. Never going to make it. So get the fuck off get the splinters out your ass, get off the fucking fence and give an opinion. That's the only way to make it in this industry. And it's going to have fun as well. Sorry to rant, but it just annoys me. Oh, we're cooking. How are you going to do? Oh, maybe top 6. What? You ain't cooking then, are you, bruv? If you're only hoping for top 6, you ain't cooking. That fucking stove ain't even turned on. Do you know what I mean? Undercooked eggs, bruv. No one likes that.
Just to be a little bit nicer than Terry. Like, if you do make a couple of predictions, chances are you'll get one of them right, and you can live off that for the rest of your life, literally.
Bruv, do you know what's funny? Like, I remember at the end of last year, I know what the likes of Igal and Curran were so most gutted. I think they were more gutted about not being right in their predictions and Arsenal missing on the top 4. It was like, no, so close to getting it right. You know, have you ever done that with the lottery? Once I had the first 4 numbers come out on a row with the lottery, and I was like, oh my days, I'm going to win. And then the next, that's what it's like. It must be like, I thought I was going to do it. But yeah, listen, Terry, check Matt Law's tweet. Okay, let me check Matt Law's tweet. Let me see what the man is saying here. Man like Matt Law. Let me scroll down. 2 hours ago, bruv. Okay, he says there's been a lot of naivety and chaos around Chelsea's summer, but you can't fault the ambition of the owners. They have chased big targets. 50 million, what a player is wanted. Yeah, look, I think a lot of naivety. Again, chaos. Look, because of naivety. That's what I felt the whole time. Maybe I think that because a journalist, I know that's one of Matt Law's best mates I speak to regularly, and he said that to me. So maybe, yeah. Anyway, I want to say massive thank you, Anton here, with becoming an official Football Terrace member. Now we've got a poll running, people. We've got a poll running on Arsenal, and the poll is stating where people think how Arsenal are going to do this year. 9% think Arsenal are going to challenge for the title. Is what the poll on YouTube. 44% say top 4. 39% say top 6. 8% think they'll finish in the top 8. I'm going to start with Roms. Where are Arsenal finishing this season?
4th. I think Arsenal are finishing 4th. Say that with chest. Arsenal are finishing 4th.
4th place for Arsenal. Cam, what are you saying, bro?
They're just going to miss out 5th or 6th, but it's going to be close.
Daniel?
8th. I'm joking. I think they'll finish 5th. George?
I think they finished 5th, but a good, maybe 5 points off top 4, maybe a bit more.
They gave it a go. One of them ones. Jess, where are you predicting? I'm going to do it again. Jess, where are you predicting Arsenal to finish?
We're going to finish 4th or above that. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Go.
I'm going Arsenal 3rd. I'm going to go Arsenal 3rd. Arsenal 3rd.
Arsenal
3rd. You're pulling our leg, ain't you, Terry?
Oh, I'm going Arsenal 3rd.
No. And do you know what? KJ, because I know you're producing this show, I want you to remember this because Terry's not allowed to get away with just because he's the host. He's not allowed to get away with it. He's not.
Right now, before the transfer window's ending, I'm saying third. Right now, it could change. You know, if Jong signs, Chelsea signs a couple of World Cup players.
Yeah.
But right
That's what I
now,
said.
you are right. What I will say though on predictions is this: I don't do predictions. Oh, Jesus Christ! Someone's breathing right down, Mike. I mean, that might be Rob's. That's like, I don't do predictions like, oh yeah, if all their players stay fit, you're far more likely to get players injured and have bad refereeing decisions and not. So your predictions have to encompass injuries. Like that's part and parcel of football. Like you never go all season without getting players injured. But yeah, I'm going with Arsenal finishing third in the Premier League this season. Let's do some of these super chats here. Red Wolf says, do you think Arsenal can deliver when the pressure is mounted upon them? Or I think that's the biggest question mark with Arsenal is can they do it when it matters? I think most people, even most Arsenal fans would say that.
I mean, the difference, I mean, people don't think about this stuff, but we just signed 2 players that came from probably the best team in the league. You know, that's going to change things. I think having leaders in your team makes a difference. It does, Daniel. Don't sit here and act like you don't know.
I remember when you bought.
You don't think having leaders? Aubameyang's not a leader. He was never a leader. Don't even stop that.
No.
When was Aubameyang a leader? He's always been a problem child at every single club he's ever been at.
When was Gabriel Jesus a leader?
He was a leader at Manchester City.
No, he wasn't.
He's squad player.
So here's
the thing. Let me finish my point. Let me finish. No, let me finish. You have 2 players in your team that know how to win when it matters, and don't sit here and try to make it seem like they didn't have. Okay, so maybe not leaders, but they instantly come into our team and become leaders. Like,
and look, that's it. And that is totally fine. But I've grown up on Arsenal.
It counts for something. When you guys bring in players like that, you talk about, oh, look, is it? When Arsenal fans talk about it, it's like, oh, that don't matter. It does matter. Having players that know how to win makes a difference.
Do those players even play? Wait. Do those players even play when it was crucial for City to win? Because I didn't see.
Actually, you're finished. Zinchenko actually started them coming back against Aston Villa when they won the league.
Zinchenko.
Yeah, so there you
go. Jesus. I'm referring to Jesus because Zinchenko is not going to be starting for Arsenal week in, week out. Jesus will be. He's the player that you keep alluding to being this man bringing the experience. But Jesus was never starting for City in any of those big and important finals or league winning must-win league games.
I mean, in the Champions League, he did. He actually had a big part to play against PSG and Real Madrid. So what are you talking about?
And George, he does do it in the big games. His record against us is excellent. He scored, I think, the sole goal at Chelsea, Stamford Bridge last season.
He scored more goals against Liverpool than anybody else since he's been in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And those are big games.
And we're their rivals at the moment. We're competing with them. So
that's probably about half of his whole
because you're out here saying things, but you don't have nothing to back it up.
Yeah, no, that's
the second time I've been out of sleep with you, and you have nothing to back it up.
No. We're being a bit disingenuous to Jesus right now.
So wait, you said big games. I said,
and not only that,
games. I didn't say just the game against Liverpool in the middle of the season.
Before you guys went after Richarlison, so apparently he thought he was good enough to play for you guys as well, and Chelsea.
Okay, and so the difference between Tottenham and Arsenal in that aspect is Jesus was going to sit on Tottenham's bench just like Richarlison was. He wasn't going to come and start for us and head up our title or top 4 charge.
For you.
So let's see how we don't want to go into that again.
You don't want to go into it because you have nothing
because I don't want to divert Tottenham. What do you mean? He wouldn't even start. He wouldn't start for us.
This wasn't an Arsenal Tottenham thing, innit? You guys have had your own. The point I was just making was that it's fantastic signings, definitely, and that's the reason why most of the point I was saying Arsenal finishing in the top 4 is an expectation they need to. The question I actually wanted to ask and where I was going is that considering that there is the Europa League and we know what the Europa League is able to do in terms of taking a toll on the squad and whatnot, going forward with that, I don't think we've actually taken into consideration that aspect of things. And then obviously the injuries and whatnot. Is it actually okay if Arsenal don't win a trophy? As in, like, you know how Tottenham, it's like their life's mission to win a trophy this year and they have to win a trophy to consider it moving forward. Like, to consider progress being made under Conte.
We have to finish the top 4. We don't have to win a trophy. Arteta's already won a trophy so far. I mean, we do want to go far in cups, but then people keep saying that we all.
That's all it is.
I think I think the whole having to win trophies thing is. I think it all depends how you go out. Like if you get to an FA Cup semi-final and get beaten narrowly by City, no one really complains. If you get knocked out by a Championship team in round 3, that's a bad run in the FA. I think again, I know that the old adage of contextualizing, but I think there's a lot in that. I've got to get through some of these super chats, people. Will here says, Jess, you forget that Arsenal finished 8th with a striker that hit 22 goals in the league. Jesus just maybe takes you back to 1920. A cashier says, listen, Arsenal has the best centre-back in the league in Saliba. Maybe he means young centre-back. Best fullback in Zinchenko, best midfielder in Odegaard, best winger in Saka, and best forward in Jesus. They are winning the quad this season with the Europa League. Guna Dan says no one spoke of Sanchez until he was at Arsenal. What, Alexis Sanchez?
That's not true.
Come on, bro. This Alexis Sanchez was a star, bro. He was a star before Arsenal. With all due respect, he was brilliant at Arsenal, but he was brilliant before. Well known anyway. Arsenal can actually play a second string team in the Europa League weekend comp. Other teams will have to play starters in both Champions League and weekend games, is what Olu says. Fair point in the early stages.
They'll be out early if that happens.
Well, the way some of their fringe team played in ironically, Arsenal's fringe team in pre-season was awful, to be fair. I think
West Ham fringe team.
Not your fringe team. What is it then?
No, I mean, Tomiyasu didn't play, Tierney didn't play, ESR didn't play, Vieira didn't play.
I think you can.
It was a little bit of a joke. It wasn't really that serious, but like,
just saying. Just want to keep
it. My fault they're in. Yeah, but again, there's a couple of those are injury-prone guys, so they might not be around very much anyway. So you know what I mean? We're going to get serious. I think West Ham are the only ones that have a good chance of getting top 4. They have a better midfield, a better attack, and a better manager than Arsenal. Moyes ain't better than Arteta, is he?
Yeah, he is. He's finished top 4 more times than Arteta ever has. So
Arteta's only been a manager for
conversation though.
Why would Moyes not be better than him?
Why is Moyes not better than Arteta?
I think I would say this stylistically.
Silverware.
But
No. But Styles doesn't make you a better manager. In my opinion.
I would say honestly, the real reason is he's ginger.
Sorry,
I didn't laugh.
Moyes has been around for nearly 20 years. There's no chance Arteta with a few years' experience is better.
I actually don't know why you would say Arteta is better than Moyes, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's actually nothing wrong with that.
It's not really even a conversation. One's been there for 3 years.
It kind of is based basing it on the super chat. Is Arteta top for beating Chelsea? Then Thomas Frank is top 6 for beating Chelsea 4-1 and Arsenal and taking points off Liverpool 2.
Oh, okay.
I get your point. Yeah, I get your point there. It pains me to say it, but the new signings Arsenal have made, I do think they will get top 4. Romsey breathing down that mic again like a telephone sex pest. Oh, hello.
It's actually George. It's actually George, not Rob.
Sorry. Sorry. Oh, what are you wearing? Say what clothes you've got on. Many rival fans will make fun of Arsenal, but they have a good squad. A backline of Gabriel, Saliba, White, Tomiyasu, Tierney, and Zinchenko is impressive. That will help them compete.
I got a question. Is Saliba starting? Do we know this? Because everybody keeps talking about him as he's starting.
They started a back 5 recently.
Are we sure he's going to start? Like, real question. Is he going to start? Because
yes, the back 5.
Tomiyasu. We don't play a back 5. We play a back 4. Tomiyasu is not playing, so Ben White will play right back, and Saliba will start through the middle.
So you're gonna have a center back.
That's what we've been doing.
Oh, okay, that's what it's because I've always seen Ben White.
It's not a center back. Okay, it's not a center back at right back. We basically play with the inverted.
We play on the bench.
If you play inverted like fullbacks, then basically it's 3 at the back, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
But Ben White can get.
That'll
be fun to watch. Okay,
that's what I love at modern day. I love modern day tactics because when you actually break a lot of formations and things down, you just look at the areas of the pitch they just occupy rather than what the graphic looks like on Sky. It's like so I remember when the Liverpool fans last year started saying, "Oh, Reece James basically plays as a midfielder." Then you looked at Reece James and Trent Heatmaps, and they were identical. It's like,
yeah.
You get the position on Sky
It was
Sports.
very hypocritical.
Yeah, like
Very.
look where they're touching the ball and stuff. Yeah, that's what I like. I love it. I love it. Hipsters and all that. This one here says, "What I get from this Arsenal can't progress year on year, but United can and Spurs can just because of Conte, who folds all the time in the Champions League. Spurs need to win a trophy before any chest foul year on year," is what John C says there. If Ten Hag manages to get this current United squad without any further signings, top four, without other clubs falling apart, he deserves a statue outside. Listen, with the way people have been talking about my club, if we make top four of it, any of you, it is big fat L's. Like big
I'm the
fat
only one
L's.
who's predicted us to get top four. Nobody else.
I'm not. I'm predicting top 10 only for Man United.
I'd say put a fiver on it, you know, at the beginning of the season.
It's one of them. Arsenal fans, shout out Jess. The man them have no idea, is what Hades got to say. Also, Conte had the chance to win the Europa Conference League and lost to a club formed in 2000. And who won the Conference League? Their former manager.
I mean, nothing makes me die about Spurs because they act like they played like way more games than us. You guys played like 3 more games than us.
And we still.
You guys also struggled in multiple
Our
competitions.
failure of a season was better than your season, so.
Sure, fair enough. Fair enough.
Rubbish Arsenal can't and won't finish top 4 is what Michael Ramsey says. Man like Reggie Perry says, "I saw Spurs versus Roma and ignoring the result, I feel Arsenal are tactically superior to Tottenham. The test will be Palace away and Spurs away." Joe Williams says, "Terry, the problem is with Arsenal is that some fans know what Arsenal are like and could have Messi and R9 and would still bottle Crystal Palace." Listen, that's not if that happens next week. This week's Friday. It'd be crazy.
I'll be upset. I got money on that game.
It won't happen. It won't happen. There is nothing wrong with being confident. It's why we watch sport and support teams. Every fan should gas themselves that they can win the league. I don't get that first bit. What am I not understanding? Am I like? I don't know who that's meant to be. I'm very sorry.
Kanye West under 2.
It's Kanye, but I don't.
Okay. Oh, do you know what?
How does it?
No. Do you know what it is? Now, last night we were like listing if the top 6 were. We're talking about legacy in the game overall in the history of our clubs and who the musician or artist would be connected to our clubs. Like we were saying, like Chelsea, like Drake, like modern day success. And Liverpool, the Beatles. I think we gave Man United Michael Jackson. Who did we say that Arsenal got a greate one? We said Arsenal were Cliff Richard, brilliant domestically and achieved nothing abroad.
You said, do you know what? I don't want to bring this up. You said Man United and Michael Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
He's great.
That one went over our heads.
Yeah,
no, he's innocent. He's innocent. No, not because he's dead. Because legacy. Because the legacy.
No. Like, I know. Oh, I thought you were saying because you lot aren't doing well right now.
No. The conversation was like we were talking about how like Chelsea will struggle if they go toe to toe with an informed peak Bayern Munich or Barca side because the legacy of those clubs is just superior at this moment in time. That's what it was about. Yes, that's what the guy's talking about. This comment here says, "Jess destroying these guys," is what's been said there. So thank you very much indeed for that one. Moyes better than Arteta. Put the pipe down, haters, is what Big Energy's got to say. Beautiful day. Werner likely to leave my club. That would be great for Chelsea fans. Arsenal need depth on the bench to make top 4, is what Matthew Ginn has got to say. So thank you very much indeed. People, I appreciate you all coming on and having your say. Viewers, make sure that like button is smashed before you leave. But Daniel, Cam, Roms, Jaws, and Jess, thank you very much for joining us. More content coming over tomorrow and Wednesday. The big prediction show for the start of the season, though, will be on Thursday, 6 p.m. So make sure you're tuning in live. We're back in the studio Friday for the match reaction of Arsenal versus Crystal Palace as well. Cannot wait for proper sports to be back. I've enjoyed the tennis. I've enjoyed the athletics, but it don't mean as much about the football. Do you know what I mean? So absolutely love it. The Prem, especially. But people, by the way, thank you very much, Tan, for becoming a member. I appreciate it a lot. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.
Today, we're sponsored by Manscaped. Prize your girlfriend and show her how hairless your dick could be. I know what that is. I know what that is. Presentation matters. Shave your balls and your crack while you're at it.
I've been using this so long. It's only about right that we went back into business with Manscaped again. Meet the new face, among other parts, of Manscaped.